कुमार स्वामी नायक है गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, body find haunts workers. School curriculum to be reviewed. And cleanup continues in Lambasa.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nan.
Wilamnaka, Fiji. The couple who worked for the late Sesha Reddy and his wife Mirdu Chandra will never forget what greeted them yesterday morning. The two were the first at the scene of the alleged gruesome murder at the settlement next to Lawai village in Singatoka. We now join Josiah Nanunga live, who's returned from the crime scene and found out more.
The usual dusty road is now a crime scene. Something strange, something unusual for most residents in Nakambuta, Lawai and the Naikorkor area. Most communities right up until tonight are still in a state of shock, are still in a state of fear following the gruesome act for the couple who were found lying motionless in their house yesterday morning. A resident who wished to remain anonymous says this is the first time tragedy as such has occurred. He says the couple were described as soft-spoken, humble, and will always evoke humor when they get a chance to do so. He also highlighted that most community members are still trying to come to terms with the death at their own residence next to Lawai village in Singatoka.
What used to be a normal route to the plantation for nearby residents is now cordoned as a crime scene. Amongst them, Andy Meretaliwa, who spoke to the deceased last Thursday, was told to remain at home due to the approaching cyclone. Andy Mere says she was told to report to work yesterday, but she never had imagined what was about to greet her.
We were calling out at the gate, but there was no response. We knew something was wrong. We called an aunt in Manduri village to report this unusual scene to the police while we remained at the gate. The police came and we entered the house when the dead bodies were discovered.
Caretaker Serusi Ngorwarua, the husband of Andy Mere, upon arrival became suspicious after seeing damage and flies coming out at the back window of this 3-bedroom house.
We waited for 2 hours at the gate. I then went around the gate where I saw a gas cylinder being placed parallel to the back window with visible cracks. I went back to my wife and told her to remain calm and notify relevant people and authorities. I couldn't sleep last night because of what I saw.
Naikorkoro resident Abhinesh Singh says the couple were a real estate developer and owned an estimated 110 acres of this freehold land in the area.
Is it over the weekend? Because Sunday the power was off. Can't say much. Yeah, Sunday. Because Saturday I never saw him. Sunday I tried to call him, no answer. And Monday I tried to see him.
The body of a husband and a wife who were found dead yesterday morning in the 3-bedroom house has been transferred to the Lutaka hospital at around midday today for the post-mortem examination to ascertain the cause of their death. The bodies were kept overnight in their house to give ample time to the forensic team to thoroughly carry out their assessment and investigation.
A police investigation into the incident in this residence has begun. Josiah Nanunga, FBC News.
The 2021 school curriculum is set to be realigned considering the recent natural disasters which have affected the academic calendar. Minister for Education Rosie Akbar confirms her ministry is working with officials in various divisions to come up with a new plan for the year. Jeshulal reports the ministry is also reiterating that affected students don't necessarily need to turn up to school next Monday.
The Minister for Education says the school terms and assessment dates will be aligned after discussions are complete. It will be similar to what they did after COVID-19 last year.
Allow the public and the parents to assess and see their own areas, and if roads are inaccessible, then obviously the safety of the children would be paramount. We are not making it compulsory for everybody to turn up to school on Monday.
More than 30 schools were damaged by TC Yasa in December, and this has only been compounded by tropical cyclone Ana, which brought widespread flooding. While receiving the donation from Telecom Fiji Limited today, Akbar says a school damage assessment is underway.
Definitely. I mean, if you recall what we did during COVID times, okay, we realigned our curriculum, we shortened our school holidays, and I can say the results are pretty impressive. Okay, so we are going to discuss with the senior management as to how will we compensate for the extra week, the classes that we have lost out.
The $200,000 assistance from TFL will go towards rebuilding Lekutu Secondary School. The Education Ministry says students do not necessarily have to wear school uniforms when classes resume next week.
But at this point in time, can I assure the families who have been affected by the recent floods that we will assist their children go back to school?
That our contribution will assist the ministry in its rebuilding efforts.
21% of schools in Fiji are still in progress of the quick fixtures. Jeshu Lal, FBC News.
One of the largest food distributors to the Northern Division says their warehouse in Lambasa may run out of stock sooner than expected. FMF Foods Limited says post-TC Ana, they have not been able to send supplies to the north, a problem made worse by the landslip in Korosomo, which has halted the movement of goods into Lambasa. Apenisa Wangairandovu reports FMF is ready to supply the town, but the green light to transport the cargo is a cause for concern.
While goods can reach other parts of Vanuatu, FMF is looking at Malau as an alternative to getting supplies to Lambasa.
If Malau can be approved to allow for the goods to be transported across to via the birds through to Malau, which we know Malau can accommodate, to ensure that the people of Lambasa and the whole of Maduata and the Kondrave and Bua are not left behind.
Logistic manager Kaushal Reddy says they will be moving 30 tons of supplies to Lambasa as soon they get the green light. Daniela says their stock in the Lambasa warehouse can last them 5 days. However, people have started buying directly from the warehouse, which means more stocks needs to be taken across.
Our warehouse right now is quite populated with customers coming in. And we've got, as of yesterday, we've got goods which can last us for 5 days. But the way things are going right now, that good might be reaching only tomorrow.
Logistic manager Kaushal Reddy says they will be moving 30 tons of supplies to Lambasa as soon they get the green light.
We are prepared to load the goods and ship it to Lambasa if provided like the barge is there for counter shipping. Then we'll ship out all the finished goods to Lambasa.
If confirmation comes in tonight, the ship can dock in Malau. The company is also making shipments to Taveuni and Sabu-Sabu, but offloading on normal jetties there. Apenisongerdovu, FBC News.
It will take weeks for Fijians in Noandamu Housing Block 9 in Lambasa and Nangali village to get back on track post-TC Ana. The residents claim drainage problem is the main factor that contributed to the flooding that causes extensive damage to their belongings. Kritika Kumar reports.
All the houses in the Noandamu Housing Block 9 were underwater, and residents say this is the worst flood they have experienced after 2003, when Fiji was affected by tropical cyclone Emi.
We have 37 families living here at Estate Block 9. Some families moved to other evacuation centers. We have 23 families in the hall with an estimated 110 people, including children and adults.
Noandamu resident Maria Randua says the water level rose in 2 hours.
This place is normally the last place to get flooded. People park their vehicles in this area.
Nangai villagers say they are in dire need of assistance.
Right now, we are in desperate need of water. If a large water tank could be provided to us as standby, just drinking, especially for kids. Most of the times, the children ask for water to drink, but as now, we don't have any water.
This is the second major flooding that we've experienced. The first one was in 2003, so it's after 17 years that we get to experience another major flooding.
The residents were trying to clean their homes. However, the unavailability of adequate water supply is a hindrance. Water carting trucks have been supplying drinking water to the residents. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
And we now join Eleanor Turangai View from the north. Eleanor, what are the difficulties are Fijians in Vanuatu currently facing?
Edwin, there is a major concern for Lambasa, and this is with regards to a possible shortage of food and supplies. Now, ferry services had been suspended from last week, Friday, and they were to resume their services when the weather cleared. But with the big slip at the Korosomo Hill, their services have yet to resume. The flooding over the weekend made things much worse because supplies and stocks in supermarkets and stores have been spoiled by the flood waters. Most of the places that were underwater from the weekend, they are still boggy at the moment. There is still a lot of mud, silt and debris, and in some places there is also a stench emanating from these boggy places. Now, with regards to the restoration of essential services, EFL continues the restoration works. They say that it will take them around 3 to 4 weeks to fully restore power in Lambasa, and in Savusavu it will take 1 to 2 weeks. Ndraketi and Senganga, they are still without power at the moment. For Water Authority of Fiji, their restoration works continue. This was hampered today by a slip on one of the roads that leads to the Nase level pump, which feeds most of Lambasa. According to Water Authority of Fiji, accessibility issues is affecting their team's ability to reach the problem areas and start the repair works, and this will in turn have an impact on the timelines for restoration. So for the time being, water cutting has been engaged to take water to the various places that have been affected by the floods, and further trucks are also on standby. So tonight, Edwin, there are still a lot of places, a lot of homes that are without water and power. The National Fire Authority has been very helpful with regards to the cleaning up of Lambasa. Several teams were in town today, hosting down and cleaning the footpaths and shops as well, just taking out the debris and mud and silt that were left behind by the flood waters. Several other teams were also helping with the cleanup of the schools that were flooded, as well as the Nasea and Lambasa Health Center. And lastly, Edwin, just a quick update on the major slip at Korosomo Hill. The road, there is full closure of the road there. The FRA team had conducted their recon yesterday, and the geotech investigation and clearing works started this morning. So the alternative route, which comes from Kandavu Road in Senganga through to Nanduri to Tambia, is now operational. Edwin.
Naka Eleanor. The Fiji Roads Authority, meanwhile, has confirmed that some of their projects will now be moved to the next financial year. FRA Acting Chief Executive Kamal Prasad says they'll likely push back on small projects and those in the interior of the major islands. Kritika Kumar reports the continuous downpour over the last few weeks has affected their projects and schedules.
The Fiji Roads Authority will prioritize the bridge projects and major road rehabilitation in this financial year.
We've got 10 bridges that are going on at the moment, and we want that finished because it's critical for the road network for people to go on. So we will bridge project will go on.
The authority believes they will not have to reprioritize post-TC ANA as they have funds available.
Because we were halfway through the reconstruction works, and this is it. So I think we haven't spent so much money on the TC ASA restoration, so there's not much for reprioritization on this one.
Infrastructure Minister Chone Usumate had earlier revealed that the FRA had to re-divert around $40 million away from planned projects to use it for rehabilitation. Usumate says every agency has to work with a fixed budget.
You make a plan at the beginning of the year of what you want to do, and as things change around you, you have to reprioritize. So I'm not just talking about any project in particular. That is how we need to operate.
The Fiji Roads Authority has resumed work on several roads around the Central Division. Contractors are currently working on Brown Street, Noko Noko Road and Grantham Road. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Up ahead, new protocols for human trafficking patrols and affected farmers to be assisted.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. The Navy is implementing new protocols to capture more relevant information to help address the issue of human trafficking at sea. Commander Navy Captain Humphrey Tawake says human trafficking is a global concern, considered a modern-day form of slavery. Kelly Vadala reports.
All vessels and yachts that either enter or cross our border are thoroughly inspected and relevant data is analyzed.
That information, bring it and share it with all our stakeholders, especially with customs, police, and probably we can connect the dots and then probably build a picture from there of what is happening. That is something that we're working on.
The commander adds human trafficking victims normally include the most vulnerable.
So women and children and the less fortunate in our society, those are the ones that are most vulnerable. But we have to be aware of all events of what's happening in our community as well.
The Ministry of Defense and National Security says it's crucial to identify cases and help the suspected victims.
The nation would be in a much better position, really, to easily identify these and help the victims who probably are suffering silently.
The Fiji Navy continues to monitor our border for other illegal activities such as drug trade and IUU fishing. Their border patrol is also focused on addressing other transnational crime. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Thousands of people with disabilities were affected by both Tropical Cyclone Yasa and TC Ana. Fiji Spinal Injury Association Director Joshko Wakaniasi says about 600 people with disabilities were in dire need of assistance post-TC Yasa. Sainia Nimboila reports their assistance was affected when TC Ana struck Fiji over the weekend.
Days of compiling necessary items post-TC Yasa for those with disability were affected by flooding caused by TC Ana.
We started looking at mobility and appliances. For the 78 cases that needed wheelchairs, I think there was 70, so also needing crutches. There was 99 cases that was needing diapers.
Fiji Disabled People's Federation manager Lanieta Tuimambu says people with disabilities need to have easy access to evacuation centers in the future.
Sure that their safety is paramount. The police, getting them to rescue and get them to the evacuation centers. But I guess in terms of TC Ana, the issues are all similar from TC Yasa or even the various disasters that we go through.
The Fiji Disabled People's Federation will begin with the distribution of mobility kits in the next 2 weeks to those affected following the assessment post-TC Yasa. This will be done simultaneously with the TC Ana needs assessment as they're still waiting for funding and support from relevant authorities. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
In the murder trial of 21-year-old Sailosi Naivalurua today, the first witness told the court he could not sleep the night after the incident. Naivalurua is alleged to have murdered a 40-year-old co-worker with a cane knife in an argument over a missing mobile phone in Doloesuva last year. Apanisa Mangairandovo reports.
The first witness, Ermasi Koroi, today testified he was at a poultry farm in Doloesuva cutting grass on April 21st. He said Naivalurua approached him twice, saying that Tevita Ngalombula had stolen his phone. He said he later heard a scream for help and ran down to a nearby shed to see Naivalurua striking Ngalombula with a cane knife. The witness testified he tried to help the victim by calling a vehicle to transport him to hospital, where he died 2 days later. He says the 40-year-old had been cut on his neck and shoulder and his left hand been severed. The trial continues in the Suva High Court. Apinisongarandovu, FBC News.
The Ministry of Agriculture will be providing veterinary support to farmers whose livestock were affected by TC Ana. Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says they have their mobile veterinary clinics in the Northern Division providing support by burying dead animals to prevent the spread of disease. The minister says they will soon provide agricultural assistance to Western Division farmers affected by floodwaters from TC Ana. The ministry will provide an update on how they will assist households in all affected areas as well. The Fiji Red Cross has deployed around 160 volunteers to assist those affected by Tropical Cyclone Ana. Red Cross Disaster Coordinator Madhu Nokelevu says they are focusing on water and sanitation hygiene at the moment, as most Fijians were affected by flooding. The society is also waiting on roads to be fixed in the north so they can continue with their relief efforts.
As of our volunteers, you understand that most of our work is being done by volunteers. So we have around 160 around the affected areas who will be able to support us and to support the communities to do the work of Fiji Red Cross, being auxiliary to government.
The Fijian Broadcasting Corporation is launching 2 new local shows aimed at featuring Fijians and showcasing more local talent. The shows were produced during COVID-19 when thousands of Fijians ventured into farming as a source of income and were facing hardships. Kelly Vadala reports.
A new comedy show, Cracker, premieres this Sunday at 6 p.m. aims to help Fijians get through the hardships of COVID-19 and the recent cyclones.
We thought of to bring up this program just to help us local to forget about the hardship and just to sit down and just share the love.
Farming Fiji, which premiered last night at 8 p.m, is an educational show that will provide Fijians with farming knowledge and practices.
After COVID last year, there was a big rush of people going into farming. And the idea was that some of us are going into farming not knowing what the practices are. So the management thought that it would be a great time for us to produce a show to educate people on the best way to practice farming.
With a lot of positive response from the public after its first season, FBC TV's Fijian-made program is making a comeback with Season 2.
I think after Season 1, a lot of companies were more open to the idea of having someone come and film their procedures and manufacturing lines. So yeah, all viewers can expect to see a lot more.
The broadcasting house plans to produce more local content in the future that will be relevant to the daily lives of Fijians. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
And time to turn to business now with Whitney.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up in business tonight, Fiji Port's revenue dropped by 20% last year. And new medical equipment to help hospitals. Stay with us.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
Fiji Ports took a 20% hit in revenue last year due to COVID-19. Board Chair Hasmukh Patel says international shipping was reduced significantly in 2020, affecting their bottom line. Shipping picked up again in the later part of 2020, but not enough to match up to 2019 levels when the company reported a profit after tax of $28 million.
The cargo that was being imported, the volumes came down. So basically once the volume comes down, then obviously the amount of money that we make goes down. So we lost about 20% of the business.
U.S. stocks finished sharply higher for a second straight day on Tuesday, helped by gains in Amazon.com and Google parent, Alphabet, ahead of their results, and by optimism over progress on a U.S. pandemic relief package. Alphabet and Amazon.com Inc. were among the top boosts to the S&P 500. We now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the money market.
Good evening. The Reserve Bank of Australia held its cash rate at a record low of 0.1% at its first policy meeting of the year yesterday. However, it did surprise the market by extending its bond buying program by another $100 billion. RBA Governor Philip Lowe reiterated that interest rates will stay low for quite a while. In New Zealand, their jobless rates dropped unexpectedly to 4.9% in December, while wages expanded. Perhaps this rules out the chances for further central bank rate cuts and sparked talk that monetary tightening may be back sooner than expected for the Kiwis. Meanwhile, the US dollar traded near a 2-month high against the euro as investors bet that the US economy will recover from the coronavirus shock faster than the eurozone. This came after the Biden administration said that it would increase the weekly supply of virus shots nationwide and start shipping vaccines directly to retail pharmacies in addition to ongoing deliveries to various states. And that's all from your HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar showed gains against one of our major trading partners, the Aussie dollar, and also rose against the euro. It remained pretty much level against the Aussie dollar, but lost ground against the other currencies we cover. Prices were mixed on the commodities market. Oil prices rose to close at $55 a barrel. Gold was down a few dollars, closing at $1,841 per ounce, and silver closed down at $26.98 an ounce. The Colonial War Memorial Hospital today received bed trolleys, X-ray film viewers and other hospital equipment from the Rewa Club of Brisbane. Minister for Health Dr. Ifiremi Wanganambete says this will help them better serve Fijians at the CWM hospital. The minister says some of the equipment from the CWM hospital were transferred to other small health centres around the country, and these new ones are a fitting replacement. And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thank you and good evening. Ahead in sports, Tambandamu eyes Uprising Sevens title. And more, they upset Suva in Challenge Cup. This and more after the break.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोमगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में
The postponement of the Mobile Uprising Sevens tournament has been a blessing for Tambandamu Rugby. After a strong finish from last month's Super 7 series, some of its players sustained injuries that needed immediate treatment. As Benina Rakautonga reports, the side is a force to be reckoned with this weekend, boasting the services of former Sevens reps Benjamino Vota, Chone Vota and Daniele Tambuakuru.
Ready to get the show on the road, Tamandamu's main goal is victory.
At the moment, we would like to be in the finals, but looking at the team that we've got, it's a mix of experience and also the young players are coming in. So yes, our aim is to be in the finals.
Anticipating a tough challenge this weekend, the Tamandamu side is pooled with Uluinakau, Ngaukadau Knights and Fire.
All the teams are a threat because it's the top 16 teams in Fiji. So I cannot say that no other team is like an easy team. It's all a threat.
Former Fiji Sevens rep Benjamino Vota says after finishing 6th in the series, the team will focus on improving their standing at the Sevens this weekend.
We are prepared knowing and confident that we will win the Sevens on Saturday because there had been plenty mistakes that we have learned from and we hope to pick up on.
16 teams will go head-to-head at the Mobile Uprising Sevens on Friday and Saturday at the Uprising Sports Complex in Pacific Harbour. Verina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Vitalina Naikore adds another feather to her cap when she suits up in the white Fijiana jumper at this weekend's Mobile Uprising Sevens. The former Lambasa and national age grade football rep is the newest inclusion to the Fijiana extended squad and never imagined getting a call-up after she featured for the Madawata Sevens team last year. Now the native of Nandiwakarua Kumbulau in Bua hopes to go all the way and make the final cut for the Fijiana. Karlaini Tavi has more.
For someone who had a rough upbringing, Vitalina believes rugby is a way to build a better life for herself.
We live in the village, so my parents had to send me to Lambasa to live with my auntie so I can pursue both my education and rugby career. It was hard staying away from my family, but being the eldest, it is my responsibility to build a better life for me and my family.
Naikore, who just passed her Fiji school leaving certificate, says though education is her main priority, she will still continue to pursue her rugby career.
Education must always come first, but if you truly love rugby and you want to pursue it, you must have the discipline and attitude to be able to balance both.
Naikore is not the only player who has caught the eye of the head coach Sayasi Fuli.
We've managed to pull in some of the girls that we've identified during the skipper. Also, a player played for Madhuwata during the development 10s, also 7s last year. Vitolina Naikore, she played for Madhuwata last year. She's just joined our squad this week.
Fijiana is in Pool A with Hope Rugby and Army. Meanwhile, in Pool B are Super 7 Series women's finalists, Seahawks, Striders, and Uprising 7's women's team. Carlene Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Uprising Sevens Tournament Organizing Committee are in constant contact with Fiji Meteorological Services in regards to the tournament this weekend. This after the event was called off last week due to Tropical Cyclone Ana. Organizer Rupate Kauvesi says the confirmation from the Weather Office has given them the confidence to go ahead with the tournament.
All teams are confirmed to participate. So the 15 local clubs, none has confirmed their non-participation. All have confirmed participating this weekend.
16 men's teams and 6 women's teams will participate on Friday and Saturday at the Uprising Sports Center in Pacific Harbour. National netball rep Liti Torimbau lists former Silver Fern Maria Folau as one of her idols of the sport and one of the reasons she aspires to achieve more. The other reason being a promise she made to her mother to represent Fiji in netball. At only 19, Torimbau already has 6 years of experience playing locally and internationally, but says there is much more to be achieved. Tale Materakula with the story.
2018, I went to...
At 13 years of age, Aliti Torimbau started fulfilling the promise made to her mum.
We were the first team to go at New Zealand for the under 13 tournament that was held in New Zealand, and that was my first tour and my first international game.
Climbing up the ladder, Torimbau started playing club netball, joining the Lomaiviti Netball Club. This was the beginning of a bright netball career as she made her entry into the national side.
From there I started trying out for the national team when I was 16 of age, and we went to the first World Cup for Botswana for the under 21. I was one of the youngest.
Torimbau hopes to impress selectors, but she will need to show more than her skills.
We can see that their last competition was the Digital and Punja's championships since November. So from last week's camp, we can see that there's still a lot of work to do.
The Tailevules is part of the 44-member squad in training camp, hoping to be part of the final squad ahead of the 2023 Netball World Cup in South Africa. Taile Materkula, FBC Sports.
Lambasa and Reo football may have to find alternative venues to host some of their league games this season. Reo's home ground, Ratu Thakambau Park and Nausori, and Lambasa's Subrel Park sustained damage during TC Ana. The Delta Tigers have the option of hosting their games at the ANZ Stadium, while Lambasa may have to travel to Vitilevu to host their home games. PJFA Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says the onus is now on the respective associations to make necessary arrangements while their home grounds undergo repairs.
There may be a few options in Lambasa. Vitilevu is one, Lambasa Sangam is another option. Then they'll have to work out with the council and roads and all that to ensure the influx of people to that community. Lambasa hosting a match in the stadium will be good for them because it's like a home ground for them.
The Mothe team from Laos is the new champion of Cricket Fiji's Association Cup Challenge after beating Suva yesterday at Albert Park. Being the first challenger for the Cup, Mothe came out firing to the surprise of many and prevented Suva any chance of settling in the match. Akula Dama reports.
The celebration has been ongoing since the upset win yesterday, and for a team that nearly didn't make it, this trophy means a lot to them now.
We are still rebuilding in Mothe after the devastation of TCS, and the team was unsure whether they'll make it. However, we challenged ourselves to attend the tournament.
Mothe's 199 runs was enough as the much-favored capital city side fell short with 152 runs all out. This is the man who claimed 4 wickets for 22 runs in 6 overs for Mothe, which made the difference in the match.
I believe what happened yesterday was great, and it was all through team effort, and also want to thank God for giving us the strength to overcome a good suicide.
The win was sweet for Mode. Of course, it should be. Many didn't expect them to topple giants Suva yesterday at Albert Park, but now Mode has to defend their title against Onoi Lau.
Many of the players from Mode are now playing for Suba and Ami. They are also earning a living through cricket. However, their win yesterday has motivated them. Even the Suba team was caught off guard.
The next challenge may be a month away, but for now, the grog will flow freely. There will be a feast for sure, and the merrymaking is going to continue until the players return to the island. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
In play of the day, a cracker of a shot by Scott McTominay, giving Manchester United its 7th goal in their 9-0 hammering of Southampton this morning. The first attempt by Mason Greenwood proved unsuccessful, but McTominay was on hand to make amends. That's it from Sports Tonight. In new media, Nintendo adjusts sales forecast after a boom in 2020 sales. This and more after the break.
कुमार सानी नायक है गोंगवा लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. In new media, Japan's Nintendo has hiked its full-year forecast for Switch game console sales to 26.5 million from 24 million after a bumper end to 2020. This is due to the entertainment boom amid the health crisis. A low-pressure trough moving in the west is expected to bring more rain over the next few days. In the west today, they had a mixture of sun and cloud. From Pacific Harbour to Suva, early morning cloudiness and scattered light rain gave way to a generally sunny afternoon. And in the north, the day saw occasional showers accompanied by some heavy downpours. At sea, northerly winds at 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 11:06 tonight, followed by low tide at 5:19 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 5:54. The outlook for tomorrow is for cloudy skies and showers with a chance of heavy rain and thunderstorms late in the day. Occasional rain and a chance of thunderstorms are forecast for Friday. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, what impact do you think natural disasters have had on students' academic performance?
Yes, it really affects the school kids, children especially studying over the year. We started to be facing this problem.
My point is, at one point it's bad because of this climate change that we are facing. And secondly, it's a wake-up point for parents because they need to do their part.
Yeah, it's affecting children. Meanwhile, they should have study at home.
To the student, either they want to study at home, they want to look through their papers, because the school is just start now. So their study and they know about their schoolwork, it's up to them.
Recapping our main stories, body fine haunts workers, school curriculum to be reviewed, and FRA continues road rehabilitation. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, should those found swimming in flooded areas be prosecuted? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And on to our shot of the day. This photo was taken by Divek Gounder of Vunikoka in Savu Savu a day after TC Anna passed over the Fiji group. The hidden paradise never fails to disappoint with its beautiful sunsets. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fpcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's your news for this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लेबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।